Today we will discuss sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Like you know that reproduction is a process of formation of new individual from pre-existing one, and that reproduction consists of two major types. From that, first type is known as asexual reproduction and second type is known as sexual reproduction. So now we will discuss regarding sexual reproduction. So sexual reproduction means fusion of male and female gamete to produce a new individual is known as sexual reproduction. It means with the help of fusion of gametes, a new individual produced or occurred. But this sexual reproduction we have to study in flowering plants. So in flowering plants, to perform sexual reproduction, most important part is formed or occurred, and that most important part is known as, you guess, flower. Correct. So flower is a most important part in sexual reproduction. That flower produced or occurred at a reproductive stage. So in a typical plant, at particular time period, flower will be produced or occurred, and when flower is produced, that indicate as a reproductive part. So sexual reproductive part in flower or a typical flower consists of four whorls. So it means it consists four nodes and three internodes. So that four nodes, from that two are accessory and two are essential. So two accessory, that word indicates, it means they were not takes place direct part in sexual reproduction, but they were useful indirectly to perform sexual reproduction. So here these two accessory part is known as calyx and corolla, and the most important to perform sexual reproduction, two essential whorls, and from that first essential whorl is known as androecium and second essential whorl known as gynoecium. So here, like we say that calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium, but here in a typical diagrammatic representation you are not observe these part, because we are observing the individuals of that flower. So green color structure is known as calyx, or individual member of calyx is known as sepals, and colored structure is known as corolla, and the individual member of that corolla is known as petals. So like in a typical flowering plant, most commonly these four whorls when present, that flower is known as complete flower, and if from that any one is absent, then that flower is known as incomplete flower. But these two whorls are not that much important for sexual reproduction, but other two essential whorls like androecium and gynoecium. So androecium individual member is known as stamen, which consists two common parts, anther and filament. There is one more part is there, that is known as connective. We will discuss it later words. So in a carpel, female reproductive whorl, gynoecium, individual member is carpel or pistil, consist of stigma, style and ovary. That parts were also we will discuss in later words. But this is a typical flower. When it comes to plant, it indicates sexual reproduction is start, or reproductive stage will occur in a plant. To perform a sexual reproduction, we required few events. So let's discuss which events we require to perform this reproduction. Pre-fertilization event, fertilization event and post-fertilization event. So in sexual reproduction, fertilization is most important. But to perform fertilization, first we required gametes. So to produce gamete, we required a process that is known as gametogenesis. In flowering plants, these gametes are immobile, non-motile, and because of that, that gamete required a transfer. So in this part or in this PPT, we have to discuss here only a single event. That event is known as pre-fertilization event, and from that only one part, that is known as gametogenesis. So let's discuss regarding the events in sexual reproduction, and from that first event, pre-fertilization event, and from that we will discuss structure and event in male and female reproductive organs. Like we know that in a typical flowering plant, androecium consists as a male reproductive oral, or gynoecium consists as a female reproductive oral. So these two orals, how they produce gametes, now we have to discuss that. So first we will discuss male reproductive oral, stamen, microsporangium and pollen grains, which is also known as microspore. So let's discuss a typical stamen which consists of three different parts. So here you can observe, see that these three different parts: anther, filament and connective. The part which connects anther and filament known as connective. So a typical stamen consists of all these three parts. So here you can observe, see that externally structure of a stamen, and that stamen when undergoes a transverse section, you can observe, see that changes which carried out or takes place inside that. So a typical angiosperm consists a bilobed anther, or that lobe is having two theca. It means it is known as dithecus, and each theca consists of two pollen sacs. So because of that, monothecus and dithecus type of stamens were produced or occurred. Or in China rose, you can observe, see that it consists of monothecus structure, and that monothecus structure only having two pollen sacs. But a typical dithecus structure like in Dhatura, it consists of four pollen sacs. It means four microsporangia, and each microsporangia laterwards having ability to produce n number of microspores by microsporogenesis process, which is also known as pollen grains. So let's discuss the structure of microsporangium. Before we discuss about the structure of microsporangium, we have to take a transverse section of anther, and when we take a transverse section of anther, we observe, see a anther wall which is having different layers, and these layers are, now we can observe, see the diagrammatic representation. So this tiers of anther consists of outermost layer, that is known as epidermis. After epidermis, endothecium. After endothecium, middle layer, and after middle layer, a pollen sac, or inside the pollen sac consists of PMC or MMC, pollen mother cell or microspore mother cell. So this is a typical structure of, or a TS of anther. That TS of anther consists development of microsporogenesis process, or that microsporogenesis process is carried out or takes place in a particular way to develop a male gametophyte. So we will discuss that how male gametophyte is derived or formed, but before that we have to study formation of pollen grains. So pollen grains were actually produced or occurred inside the pollen sac. That pollen sac is made up of tapetum layer, and that tapetum layer is multinucleated, having a polyploidy which consist of many nuclei and useful for giving nourishment to pollen grain to produce pollen kit or to produce the exine of pollen grain. Ubish granules are actually useful to formation of a proper pollen grain. So these layers, their importance are most important for dehiscence purpose and for nourishment purpose. So let's discuss the dehiscence process. So dehiscence of anther, it means release of pollen grain, and that release of pollen grain takes place at a particular stage, at a particular time period. So we can observe, see that when pollen mother cell undergoes meiosis, it produces microspore tetrad, and that tetrad eventually separate and becomes individual pollen grain. That pollen grain release from the stomium. So here you can observe, see that from that stomium, from this one lobe, n number of pollen grains will produce, and when their number is increased or enlarged, ultimately they rupture their outermost wall from the stomium and release of n number of pollen grains. You can easily observe, see that if you touch the anther at maturity time, you will observe, see that at your fingertip few dust like particle will be appear or takes place. That is nothing but a dehiscence of anther. After dehiscence, we will discuss microsporogenesis process, how it is takes place or occurred inside a microsporangia. So in microsporangia, microsporogenesis processes takes place. That process required a PMC or a MMC, pollen mother cell or microspore mother cell undergoes meiosis to give rise haploid microspore, and that haploid microspore actually arrange in a particular structure that is known as polygonal tetrad that indicates 4 pollen grains, 4 microspores, and their position. Here you can observe through a diagrammatic representation. So tetrad of a microspore, that tetrad present inside the pollen sac, and when that tetrad release individual pollen grain, if you can observe, see that this pollen sac consists of 100 tetrad, it means that pollen sac is having 400 pollen grains, and when that number of pollen grain is increased or enlarged, that ruptures the stomium wall, dehiscence will be takes place and release of the individual pollen grain. So pollen grain, how it is formed or occurred, that formed by a microsporogenesis process. So now we will discuss a typical pollen grain. So that also see that pollen grain. The pollen grain represents the male gametophyte, or overall how it will form a male gametophyte. We can observe, see that these are few typical structural forms or introductory part regarding pollen grains. So this is a typical pollen grain diagrammatic representation. That pollen grain consists interruption in a exine and intine is fully covered. So outermost part is known as exine, which is made up of sporopollenin, and innermost layer is known as intine, which is made up of cellulose and pectin. So these layers which are protect the pollen grains, but inside the pollen grain consists a uninucleated structure which laterwards undergoes mitotic division and produce one large cell and another small cell. So the large cell known as vegetative cell and the smaller cell is known as generative cell. So most commonly before pollination, that pollen grain is two-celled, or after pollination that pollen grain actually becomes three-celled. Let's discuss about the pollen grain development or development of male gametophyte. So here you can observe, see that development of male gametophyte, where a microspore undergoes first mitotic division to produce generative cell and vegetative cells. Or in next diagrammatic representation, only generative cell undergoes second mitotic division to produce two male gametes, and vegetative cell or tube nuclei cell is not undergo for division. So because of that, that tube nuclei come towards the tip of pollen tube, and laterwards generative cell undergoes division and produce haploid male gametes, two male gametes. So this is overall development of male gametophyte. In a typical plant, pollen grains are economically also useful and important. Like we know that pollens were basically form allergies, and parthenium or carrot grass, which is also known as commonly congress, or that grass is producing different allergies in human beings, skin allergies, asthmatic allergies, different allergies will form or occur. But these pollen grains also rich in nutrients, and because of that it is used as a production of pollen tablets. Here you can observe, see that in a diagrammatic representation pollen tablets are there, which is useful to increase the stamina, and in athletics or race horses commonly it is given. But pollen grain is basically useful for storage purpose also. For hybridization purpose, we required pollen grains, or better quality plants pollen grains are preserved in liquid nitrogen 190 degree Celsius temperature by a cryopreservation technique. So economically pollen grains are useful. After development of male gametophyte, we come to the female gametophyte. And female gametophyte, gynoecium, like we know that typical part of a gynoecium, pistil or carpel, stigma, style, ovary. So inside the ovary it consists of ovule. So ovule laterwards convert into seed. We can observe, see that, or ovary laterwards converted into fruit, or inside the fruit presence of seeds. So how gynoecium is actually undergo for megasporogenesis, we can observe, see that. So before we discuss about the overall type of megasporangium and over constituent, first you should know the typical part of a pistil. So three parts present in a pistil. That part is known as stigma, style and ovary, and inside the ovary presence of ovule, and these ovule arrange in a particular format that is known as placentation, which you have already studied in 11th standard. So typical microsporangia consist of a single or many ovule. So single ovule, single seed will form or occur. Many ovules, many seed will form or occur. Let's discuss a megasporangium or a ovule. So a typical ovule consists only two parts. With diagrammatic representation we can clarify all these megasporangium parts. So this is a LS of ovule. That LS of ovule consists of two parts. One is known as stalk and another is known as body. Stalk is commonly known as funiculus, and body is differentiated to n number of parts. Like here you can observe, see that a small opening point is present or occurred here, known as micropyle. That is an empty region, like in germ pore in pollen grains. So exactly opposite to micropyle end, chalazal end. That chalazal end is nothing but the origin of integuments. So here you can observe, see that integuments are present, one which is present at outer side, one which is present at inner side to nucellus. So outer integument and inner integuments, like here two integuments are present. Basically on the basis of type of integuments, there are different types. Single integument is present, then it is known as unitegmic. Two integument is present, then it is known as bitegmic. When three integument is present, it is known as tritegmic. Commonly, unitegmic is present in monocot or bi or tritegmic present in dicots. Sometimes integuments are absent, then it is known as ategmic. After integuments, you can observe see that inside that integument presence of nucellus, and nucellus is having parenchymatous cells. These parenchymatous cells, when present in a massive or thick in nature, then it is known as crassinucellate. Or if it is having less or thin in constituent, then it is known as taninucellate. So nucellus is also divided into two types, depend upon species to species. But inside that nucellus consists of a megaspore mother cell. That megaspore mother cell, how laterwards converted into a embryo sac or a female gametophyte, that we will discuss. But before that, we have to discuss about the type of ovule. This is the type of anatropous ovule. So how many types of ovule? There are 6 different types of ovule. In different families, we can observe, see these different types. So from that first type is known as A, which is known as orthotropous ovule. For that orthotropous ovule, you can clearly observe, see that which consists or present micropyle end in a upward direction towards the style or stigma region. That is known as upward orthotropous ovule, which is exactly opposite anatropous, downwards, transverse, hemitropous, which consists of thoda sa curved structure, campylotropous, when integuments or embryo sac is curved, both curved, that is known as amphitropous, and when it is having a irregular structure, cercinotropous. So with respect to these, in different families, different type of ovules are present. Utriaceae and Polygonaceae family members consist of orthotropous ovule. Most of the angiospermic plant consist of anatropous ovule, or some families like Cruciferaceae, Primitiaceae, Raniculaceae consist of hemitropous ovule, and campylotropous ovule present in Capsella, Caparis or leguminous plant. Amphitropous ovule present in some crucifers, or cercinotropous ovule present in Opuntia, which is a xerophytic plant. So in that we can observe, see that these different types of ovules are present. But that ovule basically consists of megaspore mother cell, and that megaspore mother cell undergoes megasporogenesis process. So how it will undergo megasporogenesis process? Formation of megaspore is known as megasporogenesis process, and that will form or occur by megaspore mother cell through meiosis. When this megaspore mother cell, which is a diploid, undergoes meiosis, it will form, how it will form or occur. This diagrammatic representation show all that development of embryo sac. So in A diagram you can observe, see that a single megaspore mother cell. That single megaspore mother cell undergoes meiosis, and in C diagram you can observe, see that there is formation of linear tetrad megaspores, and these linear tetrad megaspores, from that only one is functional and other 3 are degenerating megaspore. It means they destroyed. Only one is functional. That functional megaspore is always near to the callosal end, and near to the micropyle ends, all 3 are degenerating. And that functional megaspore, only single megaspore, undergoes 3 mitotic division, and when it undergoes only 3 nuclear division, only karyokinesis, it forms E, 2 nucleated structure, F, 4 nucleated structure, G, 8 nucleated structure. So in E, F, G, you can observe, see that first mitotic, second mitotic and third mitotic division is takes place. And with respect to that 3 nuclear division, 8 nucleated structure will be formed or occurred. That 8 nucleated structures, 2 poles nuclei come towards the center and become a single cell, and because of that it shows 7 celled and 8 nucleated structure. So in a typical embryo sac, you can observe, see that 3 cells present near to the micropyle known as egg apparatus, 3 cells present near to the callosal end known as antipodal cells, or 1 cell which is present at the center having 2 nuclei from the poles. Because of that it is known as polar nuclei, secondary nuclei or central nuclei cell. So this embryo sac formation is known as female gametophyte. So that female gametophyte basically consists of typical embryo sac having 7 celled and 8 nucleated structure. And how that 8 nucleated structure is carried out or takes place, that you know that through this overall scenario by a diagrammatic representation. But at the end we can observe, see that monosporic, endosporic, polygonum type of embryo sac which is having 7 celled and 8 nucleated structure. From that egg apparatus having 2 synergids which is having filiform apparatus useful for the pollen tube guiding or for burst the pollen tube, filiform apparatus or synergid cells are useful. 3 which are present at the antipodal cells at callosal end useful for the nourishment to laterwards post fertilization changes, and for double fertilization we having a polar nuclei or central nuclei. In fertilization we will discuss that. So this is regarding female gametophyte. So now we have studied all the structure regarding male and female gametophyte development. So I hope you like it. Part 2 is coming soon, and in that part 2 we will discuss pollination and fertilization and post fertilization events also. If you like that, thank you.